What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're finally going to be lowering Brian's Hardbody. We brought a brand new Belltech suspension kit, so now our banner on the back makes even more sense. And we're going to be installing that today. We're going to be doing a bit of a separate than usual format. We're going to be doing two separate videos. One showing you guys how to do the rear part of it, and then one showing you how to do the drop spindle on the front. We're also going to be uploading one whole video, so you could be watching one of those right now. But if you want to get to a specific part, check out the description and we'll have links to everything that's separate, or to the full video if you want to watch the whole thing from start to finish. But Brian, what do you think? I mean, you had this kit for a little bit now, waiting to be installed. So
I had it for about a month in my house, just laying around, and we finally got the time to work on it. And I'm looking forward to see what it looks like after it's done. So
we're gonna do it today. We're gonna get started. First, we're gonna start with the rear, since that should be a little bit easier. We're gonna show you all the parts that come with the kit on the rear. Usually I have them on the bench here right behind me, but today we're gonna do it out there close to the truck, show you everything that comes in the kit, do the rear, then show you everything that comes in the drop spindle kit, and then do the front. We're also gonna be doing a front suspension refresh, so we have all kinds of ball joints, tie rod ends, stabilizer bar, all that stuff. So we're also going to be showing you that part, because since we're going to be messing with the front, we might as well get it all done at once. So we're going to have different clips for that. So we're pretty excited to get started, so let's get right to it. Alright guys, and here we have the Belltech kit. It's all brand new. We got this one from Jegs, I believe, right Brian? Yeah, we bought this whole kit from Jegs, and it came pretty nicely packaged. As you can see, we have the drop spindle kit on the front. This is the rear block lowering kit, and then we have the front shocks and the rear shocks as well, all Street Performance. This is the best kit you can get from Belltech. I had it on my Hardbody before, and I really loved the way it drove and made the truck look. So first we're gonna get to the bottom. So we're gonna be using the two shocks here and the lowering kit. So we're gonna open those up and show you what comes in that, and then later on we're gonna get to the drop spindle part. So let's open this ones. Alright guys, so here we are looking at the rear lowering kit from Belltech. We have 3-inch blocks for the rear, all brand new U-bolts, all brand new hardware here, and then we have our Street Performance shocks that are going to be replacing the factory shocks on it. So this is going to make the truck ride a lot better on the back. We haven't really messed with his suspension, so we don't know how old those shocks are that have been on the rear of the truck. So this should make the truck feel a lot better. So we're going to move on now to the truck, start removing the old parts, seeing what we need to use, and we'll let you guys know in the description tools that we use and whatnot. So check it out if you want to know. But right now, let's move on to the truck and start removing the old suspension. Alright guys, so now we're going to move on to the truck and start removing the rear so we can get started with the drop kit. Safety first though, we put our wheel chocks right here on the front wheels. Make sure the truck's not going to move anywhere. Brian right now is trying to loosen up the lug nuts on both sides. We need to loosen both of them because we're going to take the wheels off of it. And then we have our jack stand, our jack basically ready to lift the truck by the differential, so we can then take the wheels and then put our jack stands in place, so then we can start moving with removing the U-bolts and then doing all of that. So right now we're gonna get that done first, get it up in the air, and then we're gonna start showing you underneath the truck so we can see what we need to take off first. Let's get to it. So we have the truck now up in the air. The wheels have been removed. We have our jack stand in place. It's going to be almost right by where the cap mount is, because that's the flattest part before the frame starts curving up. And obviously we don't want to put our jack stand in a curved part, because that's going to be more dangerous and more prone to falling off. So the truck is not being suspended by the jack stands. And now that we have everything in place and secure, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the bump stops here. And that's going to be a 14mm socket. We're going to take that one off because we're not going to use it now that we put the new system in place. And that's also the easiest access, at least right now. So let's take that one off first, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, so here you can see we have the bump stop removed. If you are going to replace the bump stop for a lower profile one, you can use the factory holes. Oh, there's also another bolt right here in the center that you can potentially use for a smaller bump stop. But now that that's out of the way, we're going to start by removing our shock now. That's what we're going to do next. And to remove it, you're going to need a 17 millimeter for both the bolt down there and then the bolt on the top. So let's remove that first, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, so here we are underneath the truck. We have removed now the bolt on the top as well as the one on the bottom. So now we're going to start moving this out of the way, which is going to be a little bit hard. We might need to release the differential down a little bit just to take some of the pressure off of this, and then we're going to be able to just take them out. So let's do that. Now we have our shocks out of the way. As you can see, they're sitting right here. It's real easy to take them off. Especially if yours are old, they're not going to have a lot of resistance on them. These ones are not too bad, so we might try to sell them. But just kind of wiggle it out from both sides out of there, and then you can take them completely off. So our next step is going to be to go ahead and remove the U-bolts. And the bolts on the bottom are going to be a 19 millimeter size. So we're going to use this socket to get them out of there. So we have 4 bolts. We're going to hit them with a little bit of a PV blaster because they look like they've been down there for quite a bit. So once we hit them with a PV blaster, we're going to use the 19 millimeter bolt and take them off. So let's get to it. All right guys, so here we have now removed the U-bolts. We're gonna pull them off here, and so you can see it is out. So one pro tip also, guys, make sure you're lowering the axle as much as you can, getting the pressure off the leaf, because otherwise if you take one side, it's gonna pop off to the other one. That actually kind of happened to us a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Try to be extra careful. Luckily, no one was on this side when it popped this way, so then no one got hurt or anything like that. But just remember, this can hurt you. So lower your axle as much as you can. Try to take as much pressure off that leaf spring as possible, and then you'll be able to take them all off. Here we have everything off. So now we're going to start removing the U-bolt, and then what we're going to do is we're going to raise the axle enough to put that new block in there, put that block in place. And then we're gonna start putting the new bolts and basically start putting everything in reverse and back together. So we are pretty much halfway through doing the rear kit. So let's try to get the other half, and we'll show you guys how we're doing it, and we'll get it done. Alright guys, so we have the block in place, we have the new bolts in place as well, and then we put our new nuts and washers on the bottom. As you can see, it's not super tight right now, it's just hand tight, because we still need to do the other side. But obviously it definitely helps having 2 people doing this, makes it a lot easier, so someone can hold the axle in place with the block and then do the rest of it. Alright guys, so we got the other block in place like we just said earlier. So we're going to give you the pro tip here, so make this a lot easier as well. Basically, we are going to first try to put the block in place. There's a hole on the bottom here. There is also a small spot. It might be kind of hard to hear, but this spot right here, that's where the hole on the bottom is going to line up with. And then on the block itself, we have another one right here on the top. That's going to line up with a hole that is on the bottom of this. So now that we have, first we're going to make sure our block is all lined up. Once the block is lined up and in place, then we're going to basically put this first, line it up as well with the bottom hole of it. There's a screw that's on the bottom of your leaf. It's kind of hard to see here. Let me see. Let's see if I can find it. So this is the top part, and then that's the bottom part of it. We're going to line that up first, and then we're going to start putting the U-bolts from the top into the places that they need to go, and then put in our nuts until they are hand tight. Another thing you might have to do to the U-bolts is you might have to squeeze them together. Sometimes they're spread out a little bit too much. So you can try to measure it beforehand and then see if you need to squeeze them a little bit, which for this ones we do. So we're gonna do that first, and then we're gonna put this one so we can finish this side, and then move on to putting the shocks back in place where they go and lifting everything back up. So let's do it. All right, guys, so now we have our block in place. We have our U-bolts and then our plate and new hardware down here. It's all put in there. We are gonna torque the bottom bolts to 80 foot-pounds. We just did that on this side. Brian is taking care of the driver's side right now, but this side is basically done when it comes to the U-bolts. All we need to do now is, once he's done on that side, we're gonna start racing the whole axle and everything up, and then we're gonna put our new shocks in place, bolt those up, and then basically we'll be ready to put the wheels back on and lower the truck. It's gonna look a little funny with just the back being lower for right now, but then once we get this done, we're gonna move on to the front part of the truck and do that. And that one's gonna be also in a separate video, or if you're watching this whole thing in one go, then just stay here and you'll see that part. But let's finish up that driver's side and we're gonna start putting the shocks in place. So let's do it. So check it out, here we have the shocks for the rear. I think we accidentally showed you guys the ones for the front earlier, but if you buy the complete kit, this is what's gonna go on the back. You're gonna have two, basically the same on the top and bottom. That one goes on the back. So just, we wanted to make sure we showing you guys the right one, because earlier I think we showed you the guys for the front. But you guys are gonna see those anyways when we do the video for the front. Alright guys, we have everything all nice and tight. We tighten up the bolts on the shock. We made sure all our U-bolts are bolted and torqued to the right spec, which is 80 pounds on those according to Belltech's paperwork. Everything is good to go everywhere else. So now we're gonna raise the truck and then put the wheels back on and drop it on the ground finally. So let's do that real quick and then we'll show you how it looks from the back. It's gonna look a little bit funny because we haven't done the front, but we're gonna start seeing at least some progress of how it looks on the back. So let's do it. All right guys, so here is the final look right now of the rear. This is after the block. Unfortunately, we didn't get to measure before we started doing, but we do know it's about 27 to 28 inches from the floor all the way to the top of the fender. And now we are sitting at 24 3/4 versus, like I said, 28 or so. Brian just measured it. It looks good. It is definitely lower, just very noticeable lower than it was before. So it looks good. And like I said, it's pretty easy to do. So that's all it takes. If you guys are gonna stay tuned for part 2, which is doing the front suspension, go ahead and check out the links in the description. We're gonna link you there to the part 2. Or if you're watching the whole video in one go, stay here for a couple seconds. We'll move on right into the front suspension of it. So that's all we got for today. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like or subscribe and for more great content. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.